Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. How can you ensure that your emails have indeed been read? Productivity and leadership expert Scott Stein has 5 mini hacks that you can employ to ensure that your emails are opened and actioned. These tips are outlined in his book Leadership Hacks, Clever Shortcuts to Boost Your Impact and Results. Chris Ashmore wants to know why more than ever we are so overloaded with emails. Scott Stein explains.
I think there's a number of reasons. One, it's just so easy to send them. Like I remember when email first came out and I made a mistake of replying to everybody and copying everybody in, and I think that continues. But what we've also found, and Microsoft research found this during the pandemic, there was 40.6 billion more emails sent from February 2020 to February 2021. And part of that was because of the remote working. A lot of people working more remotely and hybrid, which means they're going to send more emails.
I don't know about you, Scott, but I have a few email accounts, not just work, personal and other ones that I've had from years ago that I check from now and then. What about you? Do you have a number of accounts?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what I'm finding is a lot of people have lots of different ones. They might have initially set up one with Yahoo or Hotmail and then gone to Gmail, and then they get their company email and everything else. The key for these is trying to make sure that you forward them so they go into one email account. Because if it's all coming into one email account, you don't have to worry about checking all the other ones. So actually use the forward function that every email program has, so you can email it into what I call your main email account. And that's the one that you should be checking and responding.
Emails, the volume of them are a big problem. Being inundated is a big problem. But what other challenges do we have when it comes to email?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them. One is, the time to read the email. We're being bombarded by so many different emails. I'm going, which one should I read and which one shouldn't I read? And that creates a drama because we are getting so many more. And then the other piece is, well, once I've read it, what do I do with it? And some people send novels, so I've got to read all the way through that. I got to think about what you're trying to get me to do. And that just complicates it even more.
So how do we stop ourselves from checking our email box all day?
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? We're almost addicted. Smartphones, digital technology, including email, we almost get this little sense of satisfaction when you check it and there's something there, right? And we know that that's true. There's been a lot of research that shows that whenever we go in, we get this little hit of dopamine, right? So that creates some addiction. So a couple of strategies. One, just turn off your notifications. We really don't need to have notifications on that beep or chime or vibrate in your pocket that go, oh, I better check my email. So that's a really simple thing that anybody can do. And I think the second thing is limit the number of times you check your email. Right? Most emails are not urgent where you have to drop everything to respond. So only actually check them either every hour for some people. I know some people that only check them 3 times a day, once in the morning, once in the middle of the day, and once at the end of the day. Right? So it's about you controlling when you will check it.
No doubt the person we're sending an email to is also inundated with emails. Scott, how do you make sure that the email we send someone is going to be opened and read?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge. There hasn't been a lot of training or education on how do you send an email, right? We just get there and we start banging it and everybody assumes that you know what you're doing. I talk about in the book that there's kind of 5 key strategies that you can use, 5 like mini hacks. One is just put something in the subject line that's relevant. Let them know what it's all about or how they should read the email. The second hack is make sure your message length is short. There's a reason why Twitter is so popular with only 140 character spaces, right? The shorter, the better. The third thing is make sure you have some visual texture. What that means is when you look at an email, most emails are what I call typical blank text, right? So they're just text. There's no real formatting. But if you were to put some bold titles in, some underlines, some bullets visually on the page, that actually makes it easier for the receiver to see and read what you're going to do, because that's how we actually read newspapers. We look at anything with color or titles. We look at that. Then we actually go to the subtitle. Then we read the content. Emails are the same. right? Put those headers in. The fourth thing is be specific with the outcomes that you want them to have. So if you think about it, whenever you send an email, there's one of 5 outcomes. It's FYI, just need you to be aware of it. I need some information from you. I need a decision from you. I need you to take action, or we need to meet, because there's too much information for me to put in an email. So if we put one of those 5 outcomes at the beginning of every email, people know how they should read the email, which is going to save them some time. And of course, the last one is make sure you put timeframes in, right? Because people don't know, like, what time frame do you want me to or expect me to respond in? If people do these 5 simple hacks when they send an email, it would just make everybody's life so much easier.
That was leadership expert Scott Stein. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.